the death penalty is another political agenda.
Ohio fails to meet 93% of the guidelines set forth to ensure fairness and accuracy in a capital punishment system.
I guess being innocent is a technicality.
The regular public do not know that it costs more to execute someone.
From a statistical standpoint, that we absolutely have executed innocent people.
Well, since then, it has been determined that that was faulty science. My name is Dale Johnston. I was sentenced to death in March of 1984. Well, in 1982, my daughter and her fiance came up missing. I was living in Hawking County at that time. They fabricated a lot of evidence. They just during the trial, violated just about every procedure of a trial. In spite of it, what the evidence showed, they found me guilty and sentenced me to death. And I spent over 5 years on death row. They were intelligent people, skilled, and they knew what they was doing. They had made up their mind they was going to convict me. And they would do anything that they could to achieve that. Fortunately for me, in the process, they made so many errors during the trial that it was easy for the appeals court or High Supreme Court to reverse the conviction and to order a new trial. CESPAN, they continually stated that they had the right guy, but I got out on a technicality. I guess being innocent is a technicality. Reuben Quintana was convicted on the basis of perjured testimony by the police and witnesses. He was executed. I have met and talked with the prosecutor in that case. He believes that he executed an innocent man. Cameron Todd Willingham was executed. He was charged with setting a fire that killed his kids. Again, the investigation in that case for Texas apparently was done ethically. They went by the science that fire officials go by to determine how a fire originated. And based on that information, contrary to the testimony of people that was there at the scene, Todd was convicted and executed. Well, since then, it has been determined that that was faulty science. That is not how a fire starts. It is not a sign of where the fire starts. That's how innocent people die. These people who really want vengeance, they would get more than their pound of flesh if they would do away with the death penalty and go for life in prison with no chance of parole. Having been locked in a cage where you could make no decisions for yourself, totally dependent upon the guard's administration, to spend the rest of your life in that type of environment would be worse than the death penalty.
Gary Beeman was sentenced to death in 1976. His conviction was based on the perjured testimony of a prison escapee that Beeman's lawyers were prevented from fully cross-examining. At his retrial, 5 witnesses testified that the star witness was in fact the killer and that Beeman was not involved. He was acquitted in 1979. Derek Jameson was sentenced to death in 1985 for the murder of a Cincinnati bartender. Prosecutors withheld critical evidence that would have pointed to Jameson's innocence, including eyewitness descriptions that did not match his physical characteristics, an eyewitness who initially identified 2 other suspects as the murderer, and statements that contradicted the story told by Jameson's co-defendant, who cut a deal in exchange for his testimony. Jameson's charges were dismissed in 2005. Timothy Howard and Gary Lamar James were convicted of a murder and bank robbery in 1976. They were released after new evidence was uncovered that had not been disclosed at the time of their trials, including witness statements and fingerprints. Their charges were dismissed in 2003,